Let's get start demo first of Open UI, and here I just hosted in my local over here. So it is completely local. And once I ask, okay, please generate me a user registration form, so it will be generate automatically for me. Now it's got generated quickly, right? And also if you want to some modification, there is a many options, like okay, if you want some other modification, you can ask and it will modify it, right? So let's guys start implementation. So before implementations, I will especially recommend, if you first time visit, to go to my .NET real world example, and here actually we are cover many AI series, so you can check out those session, because this is important. I just installed, you know, Olama and all, right? So that a large language model we have to require to, execute this one in our locally. So that's why I'm recommend go to these R session, which is a completely guide to you how we can work that large language model in local. So that is important. So go to that repository. So this is open source repository of Open UI, right? So GitHub that BandDB and Open UI, and here you are able to see the documentation. And also if you see that license, so it is a Apache 2.0 license. You can go through that license, and I hope it should be free, right? Because Apache 2.0 almost we can use as a free, so that is fine. And also these are repository, and if you go down, so these are that, as a demo also they provided. And if you go to down the here, the two way actually you can just set up in your local. So first way actually you can just set up using that Python, right? So if you Python environment ready, so you can just install it using the Python. And also they will flexibility two things, like if do you have an open AI, right? So if you have a key of open AI key, so you can use it. And if don't have, don't worry, you can just use in our local language as well, like Olama and then Code Llama, right? So from that Code Llama you can get that large language model. So it is actually supporting, if you trying to set up in our local, so it is support, iLava, model. So this actually for dependency of this one, so we have to use this guy. So don't worry, I'll tell you how we can use it, and I'll show you for Docker one, because Docker one for easy for me. In our window we don't need to set an environment and all, only just install the Docker, that is fine. So for deployment perspective also, it is very fine for this to Docker setup, right? Because only just you have a Docker compose file, that is fine. You can just execute and deploy in your production. So that's why I will recommend to use this guy. So yeah, first what need to do simply, let me start the setup. So just copy this guy, right? And open your command prompt and go to your directory where you want, right? So we would like to go my directory, so let me zoom in for you. So go to that my directory project, and here git clone and pass your URL, clone it, right? So I have already that, so I am not going to clone because it's saying already exists. So that means I have that. So let me go to the directory. So once you clone, you have to go to that same process, like go to the directory, the cd, and it would be Open UI, right? So once you go here and you want to check, now see those are file would be over here, but main file our this guy, like Docker compose. So what I will do, let me run first Docker, because without so let me open first a Docker, right? So this is my Docker, and inside this here, see, there is a no others container, right? So it will create a image, right? So an Olama image and all, and also it will create a container. So don't worry about that, it will create automatically, you don't need to think about, because everything mentioned in this docker.compose file. So let me do that, like Docker compose, and then up, and simply D. So once you try to this one, it will take some time actually first time, because I already done, so that's why it is taking quickly. But yeah, if you're doing first time, definitely it will take more than 30 minutes, right? Because pull the image, set up, and then it will start. So once you start, definitely will get this three things which is created and started, right? So if you open the Docker, now see, this is that section which is just Olama first and backend first, right? This two container is running, and this is for my Olama. So it is Olama running in our local over here, and this is our backend UI, right? So this is actually running in our here. So let me quickly run this localhost 7878, right? So if you do first time, so you will get this guy. But one thing you need to do more if you're trying to set up locally it with the Docker. What is that? If you go to the setting, now see, if you first time doing, so definitely will get these two options only, right? So if you have a key, so using that key you can use these two things. But yeah, if you want to locally, so in this case I'll show you on the locally, right? Because I want to show everything is on local. So you require this Olama and Lava large language model, right? So how we can install that? So for that, what you need to do, once you complete in here, right? So once your container is running, then you have to go to again that repository, and you have to fire one more command. So what is that command? Let me copy this guy. So see, this is that command, docker run whatever you're running things, right? So they will pick up an Olama pull Lava. So Lava will be installed in this container, right? So if you go to here, it just simply pass this guy and hit enter. So it is just hit enter, and it will try to pull and download in your locally, right? So like that. So it also will take some time, because see, it is hardly 4.1 GB. So based on the network it will download, right? So once you download, you will open, once you open this guy, so you will get this option. So you have to just choose this option and update. That's it. Now once you done these things, so let me ask whatever you want, right? And before that, actually I would like to show something. So let me open that project and show how is a Docker Compose is set up, right? So go to that, let me code open in the VS Code. And if you open this VS Code, see, this is that project directory and structure, right? Folder structure. And this is that important part, so Docker Compose file, right? Nothing we have, it is just simple Olama setup, which we have already covered in last time, right? So they create a Olama image and set this port and set us the volume for this, lossing the data, right? And also we create a backend service, build this service, context this guy, and Docker file. We have just create a Docker file over here, right? So this Docker file will be created based on this contact, and it will run, and also it is dependent with this Olama, and this is done, right? And also see, dependent is Olama. So this is that done, right? This is actually just simple, right? And if you go to backend, right? So if you go to backend, this is a backend project as well over here. And here, this Docker file which we have refer over here, this guy, right? So it is just saying, okay, where is our context? This is our context, and Docker file which will coming from this guy, this guy. And just we have to set up our Docker script over here, what we record. Okay, Python required, so we set the Python, and from this Python, and then just simple Docker scripting, and directly open in this entry point, right? So based on this, actually our application will run. Now go back to your UI, and here I'll just ask again, okay, let me ask one thing. Just create a nice look feel student dashboard page, and see how's they creating for me. Now see, it is just created, right, with this simple design, right? Okay, now see, it is got created a dashboard page, right? It is very simple design, it got created. But if you want to change something, so here the way you can just tell us the change. Okay, so let me add header, menu, var, and footer, right? And then let me ask, okay, let me change this guy. Okay, now see, it is got created, right? I ask, okay, just add a header as a menu bar and footer as a footer, right? So they just added these two things. Also, if you want to add, some navigation bar over here, so they will add also based on the respect to uh our prompt, right? So that is fine. And let me show you one more things over here. See, it is the chat. So whatever things actually you just generating, it will just give the code and all with this your description, right? So you can just copy and you can use it. So now see, this is a complete code they provided, right? You can use it and in your applications. So like that, this is a one way. And another things actually, these are that dark mode and light mode, you can just set it. And also here some options, like if you want to see, okay, how is my website is responsive or not, so you can just check it using that options. So they has provide mobile view, tablet view, and window view as well. And also he has the many options others, right? So that all already covered, so that also you can use it. So like that actually you can just set up and just create it. That's all for this session. Have a nice day and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.